A shrill klaxon cut through the Empire's flagship bridge, jolting Captain Mirasol from her datapad. She snapped upright in her command chair, heart pounding. The main holoscreen showed a small, unregistered vessel slipping through the outer sensor grid faster than any known design. No transponder. No record in Imperial archives. Only a silent streak of light against the endless stars. Mira's fingers flew over the controls. "Status," she barked. Lieutenant Eli Voss, pale under the bridge lights, tapped at his console. "Sir, I can't find any file on it. No registry number, no blueprint. It's not in our databases." A bead of sweat rolled down Mira's temple. Even the most secret experimental ships must show up somewhere. Increase sensor resolution. Lock all scanning bands on that vector. On a smaller display, Ensign Rick Chen, no relation to old records, ran the thermal and subspace scans. "It's odd. The hull signature doesn't match anything in our classifications, and it's keeping pace with light-fold speed." Mira's voice went low, urgent. "Notify Fleet Command. Prepare an intercept team." Then, addressing the bridge, "All hands, battle stations. This vessel could be a threat, or a message." Beyond the shielded walls of the command center, the Empire's bureaucracy reeled. High Counselor Dara heard the alarm and rushed to her private comm terminal. She watched as live feeds showed the uncharted ship weaving through the outer patrol. Cruisers. Each cruiser hailed, got no reply, and powered weapons only to have the vessel slip out of range again. "We simulated 20 intercept scenarios," Counselor Dara muttered.
Nothing could explain its evasive pattern or its unexpected arrival time. Back on the flagship, Mira felt a wrenching mix of fear and excitement. She had trained her entire life for encounters with unknown species, and for the chance to
show Imperial might. Yet this ghost ship refused to engage or evade. It simply moved, heading deeper into the capital system. "Sir," Eli said, voice trembling. "It's sending a subspace signal. Weak. Encrypted." Mira steadied herself. "Patch it through." Static crackled. Then a single voice, old and weary, whispered, "Warning. We carry truth of Empire's greatest secret. Retrieve at all cost." Then silence. A collective gasp echoed across the bridge. The Empire's greatest secret? The thought burned hotter than reactor cores. Mira exchanged a look with Eli. "Did you record that?" He nodded, sweat beading on his brow. "Yes, Captain, I'm decrypting now." Shouts and footsteps filled the corridor outside as armed guards readied themselves. Word had spread. An unregistered ship claimed to know a secret powerful enough to shake the Empire. Deep in the archives, Chief Archivist Tara Niles stared at her terminal in horror. Legends spoke of hidden tragedies and forbidden wars buried long ago. If word spread, the Empire's fragile peace and its reputation as benevolent ruler could collapse overnight. On the flagship, the unknown vessel slowed as it reached the outer rim of the capital's planetary defenses. Mira ordered full power to pursuit engines. The cruiser responded in kind, its sleek hull gleaming under artificial starlight. "Distance closing," Rick reported. "Except the ship is cloaked. From classical sensors, only subspace signature lets us track it." Mira gripped the armrests. "Eli, open a direct comm channel. Override their silence if you can." He hesitated. "They broadcast only one way. If I force a handshake, it could trigger an emergency protocol." A cold fire glinted in Mira's eyes. "Do it." The bridge. Lights dimmed as emergency power rerouted. Every console hummed. Then a flash. The unknown ship shimmered into view, half translucent, drifting above the capital planet. Its shape was angular, unlike the smooth curves of Imperial liners. Jagged hull plates seemed etched with ancient runes. "Remarkable," Rick breathed. "Prepare a boarding shuttle," Mira ordered, voice firm. "Suit up. We don't know what we'll find." Moments later, Mira and a small team stood before the vessel's airlock. The amplified hiss of atmosphere rushing out sounded like the exhale of a sleeping giant. No markings identified nationality or alliance, only those strange runes. "Stay." "Sharp," Mira whispered. Her boots crunched on the grated floor as she stepped through the threshold, rifle raised. Inside, the corridor lights flickered. The walls bore relics, broken statues, rusted weaponry, and datapads marked with a crest long erased from Imperial memory. The air smelled faintly of ozone and old metal. Eli scanned the data lines trailing across consoles. Captain, this ship predates the First Unification War. It carries records of lost worlds, and a warning. Empire built on forgotten bones will crumble from within. Mira's heart thundered. Very few dared to speak such blasphemy against the Imperial doctrine. Yet the evidence lay before them. A sudden thrum shook the deck plates. The ship's engines pulsed as if reacting to their presence. Red warning lights bathed the corridor. Outside, the Empire's fleet commander watched the flagship's pursuit. He frowned as power readings spiked on his sensors. Something's changed. That ship is reacting. Back inside, Mira read a datapad, etched with an ancient emblem, a star shattered by a spear. She met Eli's eyes. This is bigger than we thought. In that moment, a low chanting began, a chorus of voices echoing through the metal halls. The team froze. Mira raised her rifle, voice steady. Identify yourself. Silence, then one word, whispered on every frequency. Welcome. And in the cold depths of that ghostly vessel, the Empire's greatest secret began to unfold. A cold breeze whispered through the corridor as Mira and her team froze. The soft chant of voices faded into a low hum, as if the ship itself was breathing. Red warning lights pulsed in rhythm, casting long shadows on the walls. Eli pressed a fingertip to the datapad in his hand. Captain, these runes, they're a form of audio encoding. I can isolate the track. Mira nodded. Do it quickly. He worked the controls, frowning. The chanting looped, layered with strange harmonics. Then a clear voice emerged, female, and calm. You stand at the heart of truth. Proceed or turn back forever. Rick swallowed. It knows we are here. Mira kept her rifle raised. Stay focused. We move deeper, but stay in formation. They followed the corridor to a junction where 3 passages met. The center hall opened into a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness above. At the far end, a circular platform hovered surrounded by floating data crystals. Each shard glowed with its own soft light, like distant stars in a void. Tara's voice crackled over the comm link. Captain, I've accessed the archives. There are hints of a lost fleet called the Aegis Covenant. This ship matches no record. Mira studied the crystals. Could this be part of their archives? Lost records carried through time? Rick crouched near a gleaming shard. These look like memory cores. If I can tap one, I might view its contents. She gave the order. He reached out, and the crystal pulsed brighter on his touch. Holographic images erupted around them. Star systems born and dying. Alien faces etched in sorrow. Battlefields under twin suns. Eli gasped. This is history, even before the Empire's founding. Lost worlds that vanished centuries ago. Mira watched as the images shifted, settling on a single star map. A planet marked in crimson sat at its center. An icon of a broken spear hovered above. Coordinates? She asked. Rick's hands trembled. It's somewhere beyond the outer rim. A world called Valorous. Valorous, Mira repeated. The name echoed in her mind. Official logs said Valorous fell to the Empire 200 years ago, but survivors were never confirmed. Suddenly the chamber shook. A low rumble rolled through the deck plates. The floating crystals flickered and shattered, showering glass-like fragments. Emergency lockdown, a voice announced. Synthetic and blind. Bulkhead. Doors began sliding shut behind them. Mira sprinted forward. She wedged her boot under the closing seal and yanked. The door stopped, leaving a narrow gap. She tugged the team through. They ducked into a narrow corridor as the doors slammed fully shut behind them. The corridor lights were dim but steady. Faded signs on the walls pointed to areas labeled Data Core and Memorial Hall. Tara's voice crackled again. Captain, I found something disturbing. Valaris was not conquered. It seceded. They left the Covenant fleet to wander, guarding truths too dangerous for any empire. Eli's brow furrowed. And now we're trespassing on those truths. Mira pressed her palm against the bulkhead. We must reach that planet. These records could redraw history and shift power away from the Empire. Rick shivered. But they triggered an automatic defense. Weapon systems reactivated. A red light blinked down the corridor. On a panel, a schematic highlighted a cross-shaped turret emerging in the distance. Movement, Rick whispered. Automated drones are deploying. Mira raised her rifle. We're not unarmed. Keep moving toward the data core. That's where we'll find answers. And maybe control these defenses. They hurried through winding passages. Each turn revealed archaic designs. Metal carved with star motifs, arches that hinted at cathedral-like grace, and walls lined with reliefs of armored figures standing at attention. At last, they reached a massive door etched with concentric circles. Above, the word core glowed faintly. Stand ready, Mira said. On 3. She placed her hand on the panel. The door slid open to reveal a domed chamber. A single console stood at its center, surrounded by a ring of inactive turrets. Holographic symbols floated above the console, shifting like living patterns. Eli approached and inserted a data spike. The console hummed to life. Symbols rearranged into a grid of planetary icons. One icon pulsed red. Valaris. Accessing defense protocols, Eli murmured. I can reroute them, maybe disable the drones. Do it, Mira ordered. He tapped. The controls. The ring of turrets powered down one by one, their barrels sliding inside armored housings. Across the ship, alarms ceased. The red warning lights dimmed to white. A soft chime echoed and a projection emerged. A tall figure in ancient armor, face hidden by a helmet decorated with the broken spear crest. His voice boomed, though his lips did not move. You have proven worthy. The Covenant welcomes you. The path to Valaris is open. Mira swallowed. We accept. The hollow faded, revealing one final message etched on the console. Seek the truth, or rebuild from lies. Outside, the engines powered up. The unregistered vessel turned, its course set for the long-forgotten world of Valaris. Mira steadied herself. This mission would change everything. For the Covenant, for the Empire, and for all who dared to learn what lay beyond the archives. The unknown vessel slipped through the void, engines humming a steady pulse as it approached Valaris. Captain, Mira Sol stood on the bridge beside Lieutenant Eli Voss, eyes fixed on the holographic star chart. The planet's surface glowed in red and gold, half-shrouded by swirling storms. Atmospheric entry in 10 minutes, announced Ensign Rick. His voice was steady now, but his knuckles whitened on the console. Mira nodded. Prepare landing protocols. We don't know what awaits us. Below deck, Engineer Kara Patel checked the landing gear and power systems. Sparks danced around her as she rerouted emergency conduits. Ship's holding together, Captain. But these ancient drives aren't built for pressure flights. Do what you must, Mira replied. We need a safe descent. In the ship's darkened comm room, Archivist Tara Niles studied the decrypted Covenant records. Her finger traced lines on a holo display. Valaris holds the Covenant's greatest archive. Its guardians await only those who prove their worth. She frowned. Captain, there's mention of a trial by memory. The planet may test our minds, show us visions of the past, and judge our intentions. Mira grimaced. Psychic defenses? We'll need to be alert. No one goes in alone. The bridge the planet loomed larger. Deep canyons cut across deserts of rust-colored sand. Towering spires of rock cast long shadows as the ship's landing bay doors opened. Descent begins, Rick announced. The vessel trembled as it plunged into the atmosphere, heat flares cascading across its hull. Below, the desert stretched. For miles, broken only by the ruins of ancient walls. Landing gear deployed, Kara reported. Engaging thrusters. With a soft thud and a shudder, the ship touched down on a plateau near a crumbling gateway. The bay doors slid open, revealing a wind-whipped plain scattered with monoliths carved in star shapes. Mira, Eli, Rick, and Kara stood in the cargo hold, clad in light armor. Each carried a small data pad and a tracer rifle. The storm's howl seeped through the open doors, carrying fine red dust. "Stay close," Mira warned. "Tara's done enough research to send directions, but conditions may change." They crossed the ramp into the gale. The wind snapped at their sleeves and the monoliths loomed like silent sentinels. Faded inscriptions covered each pillar, warnings, prayers, and stories of the Covenant. Eli knelt beside one, brushing dust away. "This language matches the ship's runes. It speaks of souls bound by purpose." Rick shivered under the storm's roar. "Makes me feel watched." Ahead, a path cut through the rocks toward the ruins of a grand plaza. Two massive statues, half buried in sand, flanked the entrance. One statue held a spear, the other a shattered shield. Mira paused before the gate. This must be the trial hall. The record said only the worthy enter. She tapped her pad. The gate's runes glowed, and the stone doors ground open, revealing darkness within. A chill wind blew from the chamber. Eli swallowed. Inside, "It's showing readings on our helmets, some kind of psychic field." Mira drew a deep breath. "We proceed together. Whatever visions come, trust your own mind and each other." They stepped inside. The hall was lit by faint bioluminescent veins in the stone walls, casting an eerie light. The floor sloped downward into an arching tunnel. Whispers echoed around them, fragments of voices in languages they could almost understand. Kara's eyes widened. I hear my mother's voice." Rick covered his ears. "No, wait, I'm hearing my own memories." Mira steadied her team. "It's the trial. Focus on the moment, on why we came." They pressed on. Visions danced at the edge of their sight, scenes of Valeris's people living in harmony, then turning to war as the Empire advanced. Guilt and pride warred in their minds. Eli staggered. "I see myself as part of the fleet that brought ruin here." Tara's voice crackled in their comms. "Remember the Covenant's warning. Truth spares the worthy. Acknowledge what you see. Do not deny it." Mira stepped forward into a circular chamber. In its center floated a crystalline pool, rippling with light. Around the pool's edge, inscriptions read, "Stand in truth and the path shall open." She knelt and peered into the water. The reflection showed not her armor, but the faces of those who suffered under the Empire. Her breath caught. Behind her, the others joined, each confronting their visions. The chamber grew silent. Then, the pool's surface stilled, the ripples fading. A rumble shook the vault. Stone panels slid aside to reveal a staircase spiraling downward, lit by soft white torches. Mira rose, voice calm. "We've been judged and passed. The archive lies below." Eli offered a small nod. "Let's see what truths Valeris holds." As they descended, the storm above abated. The gale's roar faded, replaced by the echo of their footsteps and the promise that the Covenant's secrets would soon reshape the fate of the Empire. Mira led her team down the spiral staircase. Pale torchlight flickered against damp stone. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. At the bottom, they entered a vaulted hall lined with tall shelves. Holographic panels hovered above each shelf, glowing faintly. Eli whispered, "These are data archives. All the Covenant records fit here." Rick's eyes shone. "Imagine the knowledge, history untouched by the Empire." Kara touched one panel. It pulsed under her fingertips. Accessing, she tapped the pad at her wrist. The panel unfolded into pages of text and images. Tara's voice crackled in their comms. "I'm linking directly to your feed. I'll help translate and copy as you go." Mira nodded. Focus on the origins first. We need to know how the Empire really began. They spread out. Each took a panel. The holograms showed star maps older than any the Empire kept. Worlds rose and fell in cycles. Each planet had records of its people's deeds and mistakes. Eli found a series marked Valaris Pact. He tapped it open. A flash of images filled the air. Leaders from many worlds signing a treaty. The seal was the broken spear. He gasped. This was the founding of the Covenant. It was not an empire, but a union of free worlds. Mira frowned. Then how did the Covenant become the Empire? Rick located another archive entry. The Sundering War. He swiped through scenes of fleets clashing, worlds burning, and a figure in armor standing over a broken law. It speaks of betrayal, Rick said. One world tried to take control of the Pact's resources. The others fought back. Then the Covenant fleet chased them across the galaxy. Those rebels made a myth, Kara added. That the Covenant saved all worlds from collapse. The Empire used that to claim they were protectors. Mira's chest tightened. So the Empire's story is built on lies. They copied the key, records onto data spikes. Tara warned. Hurry, I'm getting interference. Someone in the Empire is tracking our link. Suddenly, the torches dimmed. A low rumble shook the shelves. From hidden alcoves, small drones emerged. Their sensors glowed red. Rick spun. Hostiles! Mira raised her rifle. Defend the archives, protect the data. The drones unleashed pulses that ripped holograms apart. Shelves collapsed as sparks flew. Eli raced to grab more data. We need to seal this link. Tara's voice trembled. I'm forced to cut the channel. Data copy is at 50%. Mira barked, then abort the link. We'll run with what we have. Eli hit his pad. The link closed. Kara fired tracer rounds at the drones. Sparks ignited as metal met metal. Move. Mira shouted. She led them toward the staircase. The drones swarmed behind, their red eyes fixed on the fleeing humans. They sprinted up the stairs as the ship's outer sensors lit up with alarms. The Covenant vessel began transmitting jamming pulses. On the bridge, Rick and Kara fought through panic. They're locking us out, Kara yelled. The archives, defenses tied to the ship's systems. Rick hit the console. I can reboot manual override, give me seconds. Downstairs, Mira reached the staircase landing, but the heavy stone door at the top began to close. Eli skidded to a stop. Door's sealing! Mira grabbed the closing edge. She strained, but the mechanism was too strong. With a final push, the door slammed shut. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Only the drone's glow and distant gunfire echoed. Mira let out a breath. We're trapped. Eli felt along the wall. There's an emergency hatch here. He pried it open. Beyond lay a narrow maintenance shaft. Kara took point. This way. She led them into the shaft as the drones smashed against the door. They climbed up the shaft's ladder, sparks raining from above. At the top, they found themselves in a small service room. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping water. A panel on the wall showed a schematic. Serve Deck 3. Rick pressed a button. The panel slid away, revealing power cables. If I reroute, these I can shut down the archive defense. Do it, Mira said. He worked quickly, cutting a cable and reconnecting it elsewhere. The light stuttered, then returned steady. In the archives below, the drones powered down and collapsed. Rick exhaled. Done. Good work, Mira said. She turned to the service hatch. It led into a corridor that ran toward the landing bay. They hurried through empty halls. Each step echoed on metal floors. Mira felt the weight of the data spikes in her pack. At last, they reached the bay doors. Kara activated her comm. Bridge, this is landing team. We're inbound. On the bridge, Rick answered. We read you. Doors opening. The bay doors slid open. Warm air from the desert spilled in. Mira stepped through, pistol raised. Rick joined her. All clear. Mira nodded. Let's get back to orbit. Then we can decrypt the data fully. Together, they climbed the ramp and boarded the shuttle. As the bay doors closed, Mira looked back at Valaris's ruins. She whispered, The truth is in our hands. Now we must decide what to do with it. The shuttle shuddered as it disengaged from the Covenant vessel. Outside the viewport, Valaris's red deserts faded into star-studded black. Captain Mira Sol stood in the small cabin, data spikes in, hand, her armor stained with dust and oil. The rest of her team, Eli, Rick, and Kara, gathered around the holo console, eager to probe the stolen records. Kara's fingers danced over the interface. Decrypting first file. It's the original Covenant Charter. Words unfurled in simple English text. We, the free worlds of the galaxy, vow to protect truth and defend each other against tyranny. Mira felt a chill. That's the real founding document. If we broadcast this, Eli nodded. The Empire's propaganda claims they united worlds to bring peace, but here they admit they were guardians of freedom. Rick leaned forward. Next file, eyewitness accounts of the Sundering War. It describes how the Empire's founders betrayed the Pact, seizing worlds for power. His eyes widened. These are letters from survivors. They plead for help, but none came. Mira clasped her hands. We must share these. The Council, the Senate, everyone must see the truth. Kara frowned. But if we do, the Empire will hunt us down. We're still on their warpath. Eli offered a grim smile. Better hunted than lied about forever. Mira nodded firmly. Agreed. But first, we need more evidence. Something the Empire can't ignore. Rick swiped another file. Here's a record of the Covenant's greatest victory, the rescue of Talari. They saved a planet from a supernova by redirecting its orbit. Kara gasped. That's science beyond Imperial technology. Mira tapped her chin. If we show them what the Covenant achieved, even loyal Imperial citizens will question why those innovations were never used under the Empire. The console chimed. A secure message blinked on the screen. Incoming distress signal, Fleet Ops. Mira frowned. Open it. A hologram of Commander Janus appeared, voice urgent. Captain Sol, Fleet Command reports unusual fleet movements near the outer rim. They believe your vessel carries traitors and plan to destroy you on sight. Mira's jaw tightened. Understood. We're still in Covenant space, but heading toward the rim junction. Commander Janus's image flickered. You have less than 6 hours before a blockade forms. If you don't surrender, we'll fire. Mira turned to her team. We have a narrow window. We need to broadcast these data files to every ship, every colony. Eli tapped his pad. I can set up a subspace broadcast, but power's limited after the extraction. Kara checked the shuttle's systems. We can divert engine power to the transmitter, but it will leave us stranded unless we dock again with the Covenant ship. Rick raised an eyebrow. Then, we need to go back. Risky, but it's our only chance. Mira exhaled. Then that's our plan. We'll transmit from the Covenant vessel's relay. I'll pilot us back. Kara nodded. Engines to transmit mode. Let me reroute. As Kara worked, Mira gathered the data spikes. Rick, prepare the files. Charter, Sundering War records, Talari rescue. Highlight the key points. Rick set to work, organizing the files into a single encrypted package. Eli hummed as he set up the subspace transmitter. Outside the shuttle's viewport, the Covenant ship drifted like a ghost under starlight. Its hull bore new battle scars, but its power veins glowed steady. Approaching docking port, Mira announced, guiding the shuttle alongside the ship's side bay. Magnetic clamps latched. The bay doors opened. Inside the Covenant vessel, the corridor lights welcomed them back, a stark contrast to the chaos of their last visit. Holoscreens still floated, awaiting new commands. Kara led them to the relay room, where a large subspace array towered. She opened the access panel. Give me a minute. Eli tapped commands on the console. Routing data package now. Rick watched the progress bar climb. We're at 70%. Suddenly, alarms blared. A warning light flashed. Imperial fleet approaching, weapons hot. Mira's pulse quickened. Hurry! Kara's hands flew over the circuits. Almost there. Rick clenched his fists. 90%. With a final beep, the Console activated. Streams of data shot into subspace, scattering across relay nodes and colony receivers galaxy-wide. The Covenant Charter, the war records, the Talari blueprint, all unleashed in a single pulse. Eli grinned. Broadcast complete. A second later, distant light patterns shimmered outside. Subspace echoes confirming receipt across countless worlds. Mira allowed herself a small smile. It's done. Kara slammed the access panel shut. We need to leave, the blockade is forming now. Mira nodded. To the shuttle. They raced back through the corridors, past silent hollow archives now ablaze with new users accessing the truth. Outside the bay, the Imperial blockade shimmered into view. Dozens of warships lining a cube-shaped perimeter. Mira took the pilot's seat in the shuttle. Deck to Covenant ship. Initiate slip drive rendezvous. The vessel's response came faster than expected. Engines rumbled, opening a fold in space ahead. Mira guided the shuttle through the fold, emerging beyond the blockade. The Covenant ship followed, its hull slipping past the fleet's sensors. The blockade's turrets powered up, but by the time they targeted the vessel, it was gone. On the shrouded far side, Mira exhaled. They couldn't stop the truth. Eli sat back, relief in his eyes. Countless worlds just saw the real Covenant legacy. Rick tapped a nav console. Our next stop should be the Senate archives. Let's present this evidence and force the Empire to answer. Mira looked at her crew. We fight with truth now, and we will not stop until the Empire is changed forever. Together, they set course for the heart of Imperial power, bearing the knowledge that would reshape the galaxy. The Covenant vessel glided through uncharted space, its hull scarred but spirit unbroken. Inside the bridge, Captain Mira Sol surveyed the readouts. Worlds across the galaxy were buzzing with the truths they had shared. The Imperial blockade had been outflanked, momentarily stunned by the ship's slip through the fold, giving breathing room for the relay to ignite 1,000 debates. Status report, Mira called. Lieutenant Eli Voss leaned over his console. All major colonies have acknowledged receipt. Some planetary networks are already forwarding reactions to local leaders. Ensign Rick tapped the diplomatic channel. We've picked up urgent messages from Rim Coalition delegates. They're calling for an emergency session of the Senate. Mira allowed herself a small smile. That's faster than I imagined. Engineer Kara Patel wiped grease from her hands. Systems are stabilizing after rerouting so much power to the transmitter. We'll need a full diagnostic before we push on. Mira nodded. Understood. But our next target remains the Senate archives on Solaris Prime. If we don't present the Covenant records there, the Empire's propaganda machine will drown out our message. Below decks, archivist Tara Niles compiled new data. Her fingers flew over the decrypted records and citizen messages. Captain, I've organized a public petition signed by thousands on multiple worlds. It's demanding Senate transparency. This will strengthen our case. Mira placed a hand on Tara's shoulder. Good work. We'll deliver that along with the Covenant files. Hours later, the ship emerged near Solaris Prime's orbital ring. The planet's pale blue hue filled the main viewport, its cities glittering beneath swirling clouds. Ahead lay the Grand Senate Complex, a massive structure floating above the equator, surrounded by docking pylons and security frigates. Approaching Senate orbit, Rick announced. Clearance required. Mira frowned. We're unauthorized, but we'll request port under humanitarian grounds. Evidence for a historical inquiry. Eli prepped the comm systems. Broadcasting. A universal hail. The Covenant vessel opened a channel to Senate control. A calm voice replied, Unregistered vessel, identify yourself. Mira took a steady breath. This is Captain Mira Sol of the former Covenant fleet. We bring evidence vital to the history and future of the Empire. We request permission to dock at Senate archives for official deposit. Silence stretched. Then the voice returned, clipped and cautious. Your request is under review. Stand by. Moments later, the screen flickered. Docking approved. Proceed to Pylon 7. You will be escorted by 2 frigates. Understood? Mira replied. Alarms on the bridge signaled the approach of the escorts. 2 sleek Imperial frigates fell into formation on either side of the Covenant ship. There, captains ordered a slow escort to the pylon. In the docking bay, Senate security teams waited. Armed guards in blue uniforms flanked a transport elevator. Team, gear up, Mira said. She, Eli, Rick, Kara, and Tara donned light carriers to carry the data spikes. As the ramp lowered, a line of Senate officials and diplomats stood ready. High Senator Valen greeted them, expression reserved. Captain Saul, I have reviewed your message. We will escort you to the archives. Follow me. Inside the Senate, spire corridors of white marble and chrome led to a vast archive chamber. Rows of holofiles floated in midair. At the center stood a raised dais with a tri-panel terminal labeled Imperial History Records. Valen gestured. Here is where you will place your files. We will grant you a public hearing immediately after deposit. Eli carefully inserted the Covenant Charter spike. The hollow chamber hummed. Pages of the founding charter appeared alongside Imperial records, but now with annotations showing the true text. Rick added the Sundering War records. Images of the pact leaders and eyewitness letters materialized, confronting centuries of sanitized history. Kara followed with the Talari rescue blueprints. Holograms of the planet's orbit shifting filled the hall, drawing gasps from onlookers. Finally, Tara deposited the petition data. A scrolling list of thousands of signatures from Rim Coalition and Core Worlds glowed into view. A murmur spread through the Senate delegates. Valen nodded gravely. The records are authentic. I knew some of this, but to see it all here. Mira stepped forward. Senators, citizens of the Empire, your history has been shaped by those who came before. The Covenant stood for truth and freedom. The Empire built its power on that legacy, but hid its betrayals. Now you have the choice to reclaim your heritage or let falsehood stand. Across the chamber, delegates whispered and debated. A junior senator raised a hand. Captain, will you remain to testify? Mira glanced at her crew, tired but determined. Yes, we will answer any questions. Valen's face softened. Then let the hearing begin. Outside the archive chamber, news feeds lit up across the spire's comm arrays. Citizens watched in astonishment as the Covenant vows streamed live, images of ancient worlds and battles playing on giant holoscreens. As the hearing commenced, Mira whispered to her team, "This is our moment. Speak with conviction. The Empire's future depends on it." Together they prepared to stand before the Senate, ready to change the galaxy's course with nothing but the truth they had risked everything to reveal. The Senate chamber buzzed with tension as Captain Mirasol took her seat at the witness stand. Senators from Core Worlds and Rim Coalition alike leaned forward, eager and anxious. Holoprojectors displayed side-by-side comparisons. Imperial history texts versus Covenant records. High Senator Valen opened the session. Captain Saul, you stand, accused of treason by Fleet Command for broadcasting unauthorized data, yet you bring irrefutable evidence of our past. How do you answer? Mira rose, voice steady. I acted for truth and for the people of the Empire. This chamber deserves the real history of its founding, not myths spun by those in power. A grizzled senator from the industrial sector, Delmar, grunted. You expose us to chaos. This could shatter alliances and spark war. Eli Voss stepped forward. Senator, truth need not destroy, it can heal. Worlds once loyal to the Empire will understand and choose to stay, if given honest peace. Murmurs ran through the gallery. A delegate from Valara, a planet that had just signed the petition, stood. My people believed ourselves saved by the Empire's greatness. Now we learn of our exploit. We still choose unity, but based on facts. Delmar's scowl softened. He folded his arms. Valen raised a hand. Captain, what becomes of the Covenant fleet now? Will you return to the shadows, or join us in forging a new path? Mira glanced at her crew. Eli nodding, Rick watching eagerly. Kara and Tara standing firm. She squared her shoulders. We join you. The Covenant Fleet's mission is not over. We will serve openly to protect freedom and truth, under Senate oversight. A ripple of surprise ran through the chamber. Senators exchanged looks. Valence smiled faintly. Your offer honors us, but Fleet Command will not yield control lightly. At that, Admiral Roken, a tall man in imperial gray uniform, strode into the chamber with 2 escorts. His face was hard, eyes cold. High Senator, this hearing is illegitimate. Captain Saul's actions violate Fleet Code. I demand her arrest. Shock spread through the gallery. Valen's jaw tightened. Admiral, you entered unbidden. This is a Senate proceeding. Rokan ignored him, raising his voice. These so-called records are forgeries. You risk rebellion. Mira held up a hand. Admiral Rokan, please review the original data spikes. You commanded this ship's mission. You saw the archives yourself. Rokan's face flickered. He looked to his aide, then back at the floating holotext of the Covenant Charter. His eyes widened. That emblem, he muttered, voice shaking. I saw this as a cadet, etched on the founding treaty of the Pact. Silence fell. Every senator and delegate watched. Valen seized the moment. Admiral, your testimony confirms authenticity. Will you withdraw your charges? Roken's shoulders sagged. He nodded once, sharply. Yes, I was wrong to deny. Whispers of relief and astonishment filled the room. Valen rose. By unanimous vote of this hearing, evidence confirmed, charges dropped. We welcome Captain Saul and her crew as official envoys of the Covenant Fleet. Fleet Command will integrate under Senate Joint Command. A cheer burst from coalition delegates. Corps senators exchanged relieved nods. Mira exhaled, relief washing over her. She sat back, watching as the chamber transformed. Hollow records of the Empire's true past filled the air, replacing propaganda displays. After the session in a private antechamber, Mira gathered her team. Kara clapped her shoulder. Well done, Captain. Rick smiled broadly. We actually did it. Eli exhaled. Truth won. Tara, eyes bright, held a small data spike. This one contains the Covenant's future plans, sustainable energy blueprints and medical protocols. Now they're public. Mira nodded. Our work continues. We must help rebuild what was broken and guide the Empire toward honesty and justice. Admiral Roken entered, followed by High Senator Valen. Roken bowed his head slightly. Captain, Sol, I apologize for my actions. I will recommend restructuring Fleet Command under civilian oversight. Valen added, Captain, the Senate invites you to serve as liaison between the old Covenant worlds and the new Imperial Coalition. Mira looked at her crew, then back to them. We accept, but know this. Our priority remains truth and the safety of every world, not power. Valen smiled. Agreed. Outside the Senate spire, the Covenant vessel and reflagged Imperial ship stood side by side, their hulls bearing both the broken spear crest and the Empire's seal. Citizens on the planet below cheered as holoprojections broadcast the new alliance. In the skies above Solaris Prime, the ship that once panicked the Empire now led a new fleet, one built on shared history and open truth. Captain Mira Saul stood at the bridge window watching the dawn break over the capital. She whispered, "This is only the beginning." And as light spilled across the planet, the galaxy took its first true breath of freedom in centuries.